You have been to Scotland? No, but I have had Scottish beans before. Welcome to Ghost Castle. What's that sound? Haunted Castle Mystery. My name is Emma, and this year I'm spending the summer in a Scottish house. I had a strange incident, which I will tell you about. For my first vacation, my parents had no better choice than to send me to Scotland. With teary eyes and sad hearts, they reassured me. However, they made me understand that this trip is definitely a boon for their wallets. Slash the price and this year's promotion. It's impossible to miss, the advert reads. On the day of departure, I knew right away that only 2 people were taking advantage of this promotion. This is suspicious. However, it was only when I saw the bus driver that I started to really worry. You really want to spend your holidays there? He asked us, grinding his teeth before starting the engine. We really have no other choice, replied my traveling companion named Artus. I'm telling you to be prepared for rain and boredom. You have been to Scotland? Artus asked me. No, but I have had Scottish beans before. I have to tell you guys that I like to be funny. And how about the ghost? Have you ever eaten a Scottish ghost? Okay, he reminded me of something. I forgot that Scotland is the land of ghosts. So, when I saw the image of an old castle house against a dark sky, I just... With its towers and tiny windows, the building looks a bit weathered. The bus driver dove off quickly, as if he wanted to leave without excuses as fast as lightning. Strange. We rang the bell, and a man in a kilt and oversized socks opened the door. His face was very surprised to see us there, as if we were a miracle that fell from the sky. Welcome to Ghost Castle, he said with a forced smile. I told you right, muttered Artus. I stared at him uncomprehendingly. Ghosts mean ghosts, and castle mean castle, he explained to me. In English, he is indeed better than me. Meanwhile, the translation made me tremble. If the castle house is haunted, then this is worse than I could have imagined. Our host led us into the dark and enormous room, where a fire crackled from the fireplace, really gloomy. Other than that person, the house seemed completely empty. The man served us hot tea and deflated muffins. Sorry, but I didn't think there would be any guests. I'm a little bad at baking, he said apologetically. We could clearly see him trying to warmly welcome us, but he wasn't particularly talented. He then offered us to sleep. I didn't reject the suggestion to sneak under the covers. But the bedroom, which is at the top, depicts the terrible state of the house. Even so, I climbed into the bed anyway, though too scared to close my eyes. To pass the time, I played a guessing game with my new friend. Just as we were starting to feel a bit relaxed, there was a strange sound. What's that sound? I whispered while standing on the bed. When I looked at Artus, he was gone. The bed is empty. Gone. The clattering started again, like a chain being dragged across the floor. Emma, this is not the time to be afraid. I woke up without thinking about what I did. Artus, Artus, where are you? I speak very quietly. I don't want the ghost to take revenge on my friends if I scare them. Barefoot and in crumpled pajamas, I wandered through the hall of Ghost Castle. The moon followed me from window to window, as if to better guide me in this misleading place of rattling wooden floors. Artus, Artus, where are you? Hearing my own voice give me courage, I feel less alone. It was then that someone answered me. I'm not even sure if it's a person, and the answer isn't very clear either. One thing is certain, Scottish ghosts are not legends. It felt like the blood in my veins was freezing, and my courage was starting to wane. I immediately decided to return to the room, but Emma, look here! It's Artus. His voice came from above. I went straight up the stairs and found him, his nose pressed against the window. Where have you been? You scared me. Shh, look. I bent down beside him. On the cliff, there is a circle of white cloth dancing around a woman in a long dress with beautiful hair. They are ghosts. They are many and really scary. They are all see-through. I could see the moonlight penetrate their bodies, which were floating above the ground. Who are these ghosts? I asked in a very low voice. That's what we have to find out. I have an idea. Let's go. Where to? To the library, of course. I followed him, wondering how he could come up with such an idea at a time like this. We entered a very large dark room. Books filled the wall of the room to the ceiling of the house. Artus illuminated the books with the light from his flashlight. He stopped when he saw a book whose title was written in gold letters. Ghost Castle Mysteries. I read it aloud. This is the one we are looking for. We opened the big book and we were lost in it. All the history of the castle is told in the book, and it's so much fun that for a moment we forgot what we were looking for. Suddenly, the lights came on and blinded our eyes. What are you doing here? A voice sounded behind us. It was the man wearing a skirt. It's called a kilt, he said as if he read my mind. I repeat my question again. What are you guys doing here? We want to know who the ghosts outside are, Artus replied. You saw them? They are dancing on the cliffs, I said, still shocked. The man looked at us in turn with a regretful look. Today is Ghost Castle's first owner's birthday. Like every year, they have come to party. Is that the one in their midst? I stammered. Yeah, she never left this castle. That's why she's in a chain. She threw the key into the sea. From then on, she's been scaring the people who stay here for holidays. No one comes here anymore. There are only her ghost friends who come from all over Scotland to have fun with her. The problem is, since no one is staying at Ghost Castle anymore, the castle house has fallen into disrepair. Even so, she's not evil, just a bit of a shock and the hoopla, I added with a laugh. Artus and I looked at each other. In the end, we loved the castle house so much. We knew the ghost too. Then, this time, I was the one who had the brilliant idea. We must invite all the ghosts in every direction to live here. Don't, it could be a mess. They will send the tourists running in fright, shouted the owner of the house. Once a year, that's enough. On the contrary, I smiled mischievously. We should open a playground. I'm sure it will be a resounding success. At first, the man looked at me as if I was crazy. But then, he thought, Ghostland, he said excitedly, and his eyes already lit up. We will definitely come again, exclaimed Artus. We will come again, I added with a wink, and one day, we will be the ghosts.